So very good afternoon to all of you. I'm really thankful to Tejal Madam, Principal of Anand Pharmacy College, Deepika Madam and Chitna Madam for inviting me and share my thoughts related to how to crack GPAT, especially pharmaceutical chemistry courses. So as you all know, GPAT is nothing but graduate pharmacy aptitude test. So why GPAT is important? So basically it is important to pursue master in MPharm, MTech and MS. So MTech and MS basically the courses which is run by the NIPER. Now, what are the eligibility to appear in examinations? So either BPharm completed as well as the final year BPharm students are only eligible to appear in the examinations. BPharm first to third year students are not eligible to appear in the examinations. Now, mode of examination. So it is an online GPAT examination conducted by National Testing Agency, New Delhi. If we briefly, I will just say to paper style. So there are totally 125 MCQs. Each questions, each correct answer, you will get the 4 marks, and the duration of the test that would be a 3 years. And there is a negative marking. Each wrong answers you will get, you will deduct 1 mark. There is no deduction of the mark if you have not attempted the questions. GPAT score is valid for 3 years from the date of announcement of the result. Just like our BPharm examination, there is a no provision of regrading, rechecking as well as the retotaling in the examination. But yes, once GPAT examination is over, NTA will publish the answer key. So if you're having any doubt in the answer, so you have to pay some rupees and you have to challenge the answer. And for that, you have to produce some material, which is materials from the various reference book, and you can submit to NTA. Now, why GPAT? Uh, why GPAT is important? Because of once you crack the GPAT and you will get the admission in any institute. So AICT that will give a stipend of 12,400 rupees per month. It is also required to take admission, secure your seat in reputed institutes. It is also help you in the placement. So once you crack the GPAT, pursue your master, and then you go for the industry job. So obviously there is a priority in the selection those who crack the GPAT examinations, and it is also important for PhD program admissions. So those students have cracked the GPAT, they need not to appear in any examination for the PhD admissions in India. Now all student having a doubts how to start, especially final year student, now very less time is remaining. So how to start, what to refer, which are the important topic, which point should I cover to crack the GPAT. So we'll see what is the more important topics and how to prepare. So we'll discuss each and every topic. First is how to start. So my first advice to students is refer GPAT syllabus first. And I think I should suggest two different types of the book. One book that is only giving the fundamental and basic concepts. And if you see the previous year paper, so approximately 50 to 60 questions are there in the GPAT, which are only related to fundamental as well as the basic concepts. If routinely if you are attending all your professor's lecture, then you can easily crack the GPAT examination. For that there is no special requirement, no special preparation is needed. And one book that I would suggest, that problem oriented GPAT books. So for previous year questions paper, one very nice book is there in market, Gate and GPAT Companion by Inamdar Madam. So why this book is important? So first step is you have to refer the syllabus, and second step is you have to refer the previous year questions paper. Okay, so if you are referring previous year question paper, so you might having the idea which topics are important, which kinds of questions generally asked in GPAT examinations or hyper examinations. So for that, the book is there, GATE and GPAT Companion by Namdar Madam. That would be helpful to you. Uh, Keep in contact with some expert and GPAT experienced person. It is only on which are the important aspect, what to refer, what not to refer. So only if you engage some expert which are in contact with you, they will advise you better. One advice from my side, so start from the basic chapter like nomenclatures and methods in organic chemistry, basic ring systems, types of receptors in pharmacology, chemical and pharmacological classification of the drug. So from these topics, many questions are generally asked in GPAT examination. And one more advice from my side, refer 2 to 3 books for each and individual subject. Which book you should refer, that I will cover in next slides. बट कीप वन बुक एज ए स्टैंडर्ड. ओके, सो आपको कैसे प्रिपरेशन करना है कि लाइक यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री, सो आई वुड सजेस्ट दैट मॉरिसन बॉयड इज a standard book. And which other book you should refer? So various books on name reactions, Jerry March is there. So these books are reference book, so you can just extract the content and write down in your standard book as a Morrison and Boyd. So same way for pharmacology, I would suggest KD Tripathi and Rengendale. So same way you have to keep one book with you, and whatever you refer from some reference book, you just note down in your standard book. That would be really grateful to you in last 15 days of the GPAT for the revision. As I said, note down the mark probable concepts like definition, unit, dimensions, various important theory, formulas. So that you have to mark in your standard book. Solve the problem as much as possible. Okay, so once you read any topic, there are many MCQs are online available, various books for MCQ, chapter wise MCQ are available. So you just solve the problem once your topic is completed. Use the trick in solving problem, rule out method. So generally what we are doing, we are whenever any multiple choice question you are attending, so what you are doing, okay, you are just searching for the correct answer, but my suggestion is to you just rule out the incorrect options, so automatically you will reach to the your final destination, your final answer. In GPAT, self-assessment is more important. So once you read any topic, you just go through the its MCQ paper, MCQ test, and that will build up your confidence. So self-assessment is more important in any competitive examination, and continue the self-assessment until getting a very good score, and solve more and more problem and discover more and more tricks. So which are the tricks that I will discuss in later on slides. Now, what to refer? So, study important subjects first. Which are the important subjects? Which are the major subjects that I will discuss? So, these all are the major subjects in GPAT: pharmaceutical technology, pharmacology, medicinal chemistry, pharmaceutical analysis, pharmacognosy, and organic chemistry. So, I am sure that if you are referring all those subjects, you can easily crack the GPAT. And these all are the minor subjects. So once you finish the reading of these major subjects, you can read these minor subjects. So that is deciding your ranking. By looking at this major subject, you can easily crack the GPAT, and this minor subject that will decide your ranking. So just reading MCQ from the book doesn't ensure success in GPAT. It works only sometimes. It depends on your luck. Now let us start with what to refer from pharmaceutical chemistry courses, especially medicinal chemistry. So these are the books, very important books for the medicinal chemistry courses. So first is Wilson and Griswold. I would suggest William Foey and S.N. Pandya, especially for synthesis. Now, first topic that you should refer from medicinal chemistry is chemical classifications. Okay. For that, I would suggest that you should prepare a chart, and this image is there are various typical class of compounds are there, like classification of cephalosporins. So in cephalosporin, you might have studied, you might have read that each and every drug having a similar profound pronunciations. Okay, so it is very difficult to remember. So for that, I would suggest that you should have to prepare a chart for the chemical classification, and I would suggest that read daily chemical classification of each and every drug. Then and then only you will remember on examinations. And one more suggestions from my side: read pharmacology and medicinal chemistry is a combinations. Okay, so which are the other important topics in medicinal chemistry? So first, I would suggest that basic ring present in the drugs. Okay, so which any classification if you go for, so read chemistry and biology combined. Say for example, phenytoins. Okay, so it is used in anti-epileptics drug. So this is the structures of the phenytoins. So which basic ring is present, so you just note down just beside the structure. It is a imidazole saturated derivative, so imidazolidone dione ring is present. Same way, this is the structure of albendazole, so this basic ring is benzimidazole. Same way, this is the structure of barbiturate. It is a pyrimidine, or we can say pyrimidine trione. Okay, it's a saturated derivative of pyrimidine. So you just note down this basic ring system in your notes or in your standard book. That would be really helpful to while revising the things. So this is a first important aspect of medicinal chemistry. Second is SAR. So which SAR for medicinal chemistry perspective are very important. So SAR for beta blocker, barbiturates, benzodiazepine, phenytoins, penicillin, cephalosporin, sulfonamide, tetracycline, quinolone, acetylcholine, local anesthetic, chloramphenicol, tricyclic antidepressant agents. So these SAR are very important, and from these SAR, many questions were asked in previous year paper. So first thing in medicinal chemistry, you have to remember the basic ring system, then SAR. Third is drug stereochemistry. So many times, many questions are asked from the drug stereochemistry, like in ibuprofen, which isomer is clinically active. So dextroisomer of the ibuprofen that inhibit the prostaglandin synthesis system. Same way levocetirizine, it is a levoisomer as name indicate. So levo form of cetirizine, which is used in allergic conditions. Same way quinine and quinidine. So both are same drug, same molecular formula, but different in isomerism. So levoisomer of the cinchona alkaloid, that is called quinine, which is used as an anti-malarial agent, and quinidine, which is used as an anti-arithmetic agent. So in exam question like which isomer of cinchona used as an anti-malarial agent. So at that time, quinine and quinidine both options are there. Sometimes cinchonine option is also there. So at that time, you have to select quinine. Same way, sotalol, it's a beta blocker. So levoisomer of sotalol, that is a beta adrenoreceptor blocker, and dextroisomer, that would be used as an anti-arithmetic agent. Same way, propoxyphene, its levoisomer is antitussive, and propoxyphene dextroisomer, that is act as a analgesic. Dextroisomer of hexobarbitol, that achieve high CNS level than levoisomer. So for CNS property, it can dextroisomer can easily cross the BBB compared to levoisomers. Omeprazole, proton pump inhibitor, so its levoisomer is clinically active, and E isomer, that we can say transform of the anti-cancer drug diethylstilbestrol, is 14 times greater than estrogenic. So such kind of point, whenever you read such kind of the drug, so you just mention the types of isomer which is clinically active. So while revising the things, it would be very important to you. Next is mechanism of action. So if you read the pharmacology, so it gives a very 6 to 7 lines are there for mechanism, but from those line you have to remember one line mechanism, like rifampicin, so DDRP inhibitor, DNA dependent RNA polymerase inhibitor, like quinolone, DNA gyrase or DNA topoisomerase 2 inhibitor, sulfonamide, dihydropteroid synthase inhibitor, aminoglycoside and tetracycline. So how these mechanism you have remembered? So you can remember by ST30S. Okay, So 30S is ribosomal unit. S, that means streptomycin, that comes under aminoglycoside. T, that means tetracycline. So ST30S, so both the class of the drug that would act on bacterial 30S ribosomal unit and inhibit the protein synthesis. Same way EC50. So E stand for erythromycin, which is comes under macrolide antibiotic, and C stand for chloramphenicol. So EC50, it is a mechanism. So I would suggest that you just write down such kind of one-line mechanism of action in your book. That would be really helpful to you. Same way penicillin and cephalosporin, so it act on peptidoglycans, cell wall synthesis inhibitors, we can say. Phenytoin, that is act on voltage gated sodium channel blocker. Benzodiazepine, that would be act on GABA A receptor. Methotrexate, that is dihydrofolate reductase inhibitors. Alkylating agent like cyclophosphamide, so which act on the alkylation of the N7 of the guanine. In guanine nucleus, N7 group is that. So where alkylation is occurred, and ultimately that will inhibit or stop the DNA synthesis and use in cancer. Same way rofecoxib, that is used as a COX-2 inhibitor. So I would suggest you just note down one line mechanism in your book. That would be really grateful thing for you while revising the GPET. One more important thing is metabolism. Some questions are rarely asked from the metabolism, but like paracetamol, so how it can be metabolized, which enzymes are involved. So you just write down in your book. So for that, I suggest that William Foey as well as the Wilson Griswold, both book very nicely describe each and every drug's classifications, basic ring structures, the stereochemistry, metabolism, adverse effect. Only you have to incorporate pharmacological section. Same way adverse effects. In many papers, they have asked for the adverse effects. So like isoniazid, so which is a specific adverse effect of the drug that you have to note down in your book. Like isoniazid, so peripheral neuritis is a specific side effect for the isoniazid. How it can be overcome? So it can be overcome by uh, synergistic, or we can say co-administer with vitamin B6, that is a pyridoxine. So these things you just note down in your book. Next is gray baby syndrome. As you know that it is a side effect of chloramphenicol. Crystalluria, Steven Johnson syndrome. So whatever name like adverse reaction is there, that you have to mention in your book. So these both are the specific side effect of the sulfonamide. Visual impairment, optical neuritis, monthly eye examination that is required if patient is taking ethambutol in tuberculosis. Ototoxicity and nephrotoxicity, where 8 cranial nerve is damaged in case of the streptomycin, or we can say aminoglycoside antibiotics. Rifampicin having a major side effect, that is hepatotoxicity. So such kind of specific side effect that you have to note down in your book. And specific on synthesis, that you can refer Ashutosh Kar book as well as the SN Pandya. So what you have to refer in synthetic part, so material, starting material of the synthesis, a specific name reaction is involved in synthesis that you have to remember, and major catalyst is used. But previously there were questions from the synthesis, but nowadays since when I remember last 5 years, no any synthesis kinds of questions were asked in previous year paper. So you can omit this. Now, next is pharmaceutical analysis. Again, very important topic. Every year, 4 to 5 questions will be there in GPAT examinations. You can use multiple books: Chetwal, Scope, Willard, Remington, Pavia, Wyatt, Sarma, Kasture and Vodkar, and Pearson Guide to GPAT book. So from NMR, you can refer Pavia. So what you have to refer from NMR? So common delta value of the various functional group that you have to remember. ESR not that much important chapter, but if you having a time, you can refer the Chetwal book. Mass spectroscopy. So what you have to refer from mass spectroscopy? So first is nitrogen view, hydrogen deficiency index, McLafferty rearrangement, common fragmentation. So like water. So from any drug, water fragment is removed. So M minus 18, that is a fragment of the water. Same way aldehyde group is removed, that means M minus 28 it is for aldehyde. Same way, any aromatic compound is there and this mass spectra is given. So like for that tropylium ion, M uh, molecular weight 91, that is for tropylium ion. So such kind of fragment that you have to remember, and types of ion. What is base peak, what is molecular ion peak, what is isotopic peak. Okay, so isotopic peak generally observed with those atoms having isotope like chlorine and bromine. In UV visible, specifically, you have to refer Woodward-Fisher rule. Every year, at least one question should be there, and its problem as well as the application of the UV visible spectroscopy with Beer-Lambert's law. In IR spectroscopy, you have to remember the ranges of the various functional group, wave numbers, in these cases like cyno and alkyne. So cyno group and alkyne. So both having a very nearer wave number. One is 2150, one other is 2250. So such kind of questions are generally asked in GPAT examination. What are the sources of the IR infrared sources? Which sources are used? Which detectors are used and instrumentation? Specifically FTIR, Fourier transform infrared. So for these all spectroscopy technique, I would suggest that you just prepare a chart. So what your chart include? So it include principle, on what principle it is act like UV visible. So when you apply the energy, your ground state electron that will be reach to excited state. So such kind of one line principle that you have to mention in the chart. Sources of particular methods, sample holder techniques, detectors, use and unit of all spectroscopic techniques. So you just prepare one chart that is enough for analysis. Then structure elucidation by spectroscopic techniques. Okay. So in GPAT examination, structure is given and any functional group is given. So you have to identify. So this, say for example, amide group is given. So it is fall or amide group wave number comes under which wave numbers. Okay, so it is generally appear as 6080. Same way ketone that is appear around 1710. Same way ester appear around 1735. So that you have to predict from the structure. Same way in NMR, one structure is given, and questions generally ask like how many types of protons are present. Okay, so you can identify the number of proton present and different types of proton present in the from the structures. In X-ray diffraction, not that much important, but you can refer the Chatwal basic principle of the X-ray. So one equation is that is called Bragg's rule. So in previous year, the question was asked from the Bragg's rule. It is related to, so it is related to X-ray diffraction techniques. You can refer n number of UV as well as the spectroscopic problem by Y.R. Sharma books. Many problems are given. In chromatography methods, detectors and application is important. Application of each and every method like ion pair chromatography, chiral chromatography, thin layer chromatography, gas chromatography. So in such cases, application of the each and every chromatography, size exclusion chromatography is for protein separation, chiral chromatography is enantiomer separation. So you have to remember application of each and every chromatographic techniques. Different kinds of the drug assay. Previously, there were questions were asked, but nowadays, since 5 years, no any questions generally asked from assay. But if you having a time, then it is given in form of the chart in Pius publication GPAT book. Next is electroanalytical methods and reagent used for calibration of the various instruments. Electroanalytical methods means pH meter, potentiometer, conductometer, colorimeters, polarography, amperometers. So, which kinds of electrodes are used? Which are the reference electrodes are used? Which reagents are used for the calibration of instrument? So each and everything which is available in my book Pearson Guide to GPAT within one page. So within one page, you can get the idea about electroanalytical techniques as well as method, and for all analytical technique whatever I discuss right now, all important theory tables are given in my book. You can also refer that. Next is biochemistry. So from biochemistry, every year 4 to 5 questions are generally there. So questions from the vitamins. So in vitamins, you have to remember structures. Various ring systems are generally asked, like vitamin D. So in vitamin D, various forms are there: D1, D2, D3, which is a clinically important form that you have to remember. What is application as well as the use of each and every vitamins, and deficiency of particular vitamins invite to which kind of the disease that you have to remember. In enzyme chapter, you have to refer Michaelis-Menten equations. Many times questions are generally asked from this equation as well as the factor affecting enzyme activity and the binding site. Some question related to coenzyme, apoenzymes. Such kind of questions were generally asked from the enzyme chapters. Hormones, so you have to remember role of each and every hormones. In carbohydrate, important pathway like Krebs cycles, role of each and every enzyme and energy chart that you have to refer from Satyanarayan book. In protein, specifically classification of the protein and amino acids is very important. Structures of the proteins and DNA as well as the RNA, nucleic acid that you have to refer. Very basic information about DNA and RNA that you have to refer. Fats and lipid, you have to refer analytical constants like saponification value, acid value, iodine value, and cholesterol metabolism, how it start, and which are the important rate limiting enzymes are involved that you have to remember from the cycles as well as the chart. Each and every cycles like Krebs cycles, urea cycles, nitrogen cycles, and what I said, glycolysis, gluconeogenesis. So each and every cycle that you have to remember its starting material and rate limiting enzyme only. No need to remember each and every steps. And next is organ function test, which are the tests for kidney, which are the tests for liver. So that test and its normal value that you have to remember in biochemistry. Now, organic chemistry is a very important. You can secure at least every year 8 to 9 questions are there from the organic chemistry. So you can secure at least 40 to 50 marks if you clear your all doubts of the organic chemistry. Again, these subject is very important for the NIPER examinations. So what you should refer from these uh, chapters. So basics of chemistry and IUPAC nomenclature again important. So when structure is given, you have to identify the correct IUPAC nomenclature system. Next is physico-chemical property of the all functional group. So which kind of questions are generally asked? So question related to melting and boiling points. Okay. So like as you studied in your organic chemistry, like as branching increase, melting point as well as the boiling point is increasing. So various structures are given and you have to find out the correct answers. Same way, the concept related to acidity and basicity. 3 to 4 different uh, amines are given and you have to predict which amine having the highest basicity. 3 to 4 different functional group are given like carboxylic acid, phenol, alcohol, and water. You have to arrange all those as per their acidity, increasing to decreasing order. So such kind of questions are generally asked from the organic chemistry. So again, physico-chemical properties of all functional group again important. Next is functional group identification. So I think in 2018, one question was there. So where this structure is given and which functional group present in this structure. Okay. So ether, you know, it's a ROR, but it is called cyclic ether because oxygen group that is in cyclic form. So such kind of questions are generally asked in the examination. Same way, this is called cyclic ester, RCOOR. Same way, this is called lactam. It is nothing but cyclic amide. Okay, this is alpha, where three-member ring connecting with amide, that is called alpha. Four-member ring connecting with amide, that is called beta. This is gamma, and delta lactam. So you can remember this. Okay, simple CH3 CONH2 is given, then you can easily predict this is amide. But sometimes they are asking the questions in cyclic form, functional group that is present in cyclic form. At that time, you should remember this is a CONH, that means it is a amide. This is COOR, that means it is a ester, and this is a Oxygen attached with two CH2 group in cyclic form. This is a cyclic ether. So functional group identification questions are generally asked in GPAT examinations. Next is basic mechanism of organic chemistry. Nucleophilic substitution reaction, unimolecular, bimolecular, elimination unimolecular, elimination bimolecular, electrophilic aromatic, nucleophilic aromatic, electrophilic addition reaction, nucleophilic addition reaction, and nucleophilic acid substitution reactions. So these eight are very basic mechanism. So what you have to remember or what you have to refer from those mechanisms. So first is starting material. Okay. So what you have to refer, what are the substrate like SN1 reaction. So SN1 reaction goes with, or it is possible with only tertiary alkyl halide. So in exam, the reaction is given. So you have to propose the suitable mechanism. So like tertiary alkyl halide is given. So and sometimes it is also given some reactant. Okay. So same way tertiary alkyl halide and strong base like KOH is given. So at that time E2 mechanism is operated. But simple tertiary alkyl halide with weak base, at that time SN1 mechanism is operated out. So you have to remember substrate, reactant and product, as well as in some of the cases intermediate is formed. So you have to remember all intermediates as well as the reaction condition. So like reaction condition, that means some reactions goes with protic solvent, or we can say polar solvent, some reaction goes with aprotic solvent. So same way SN2 reaction. So that is fail in polar solvent. Okay, that you might have studied in factor affecting SN1 and SN2 reaction. So such kind of notes you have to prepare. So at the last 15 days, you can easily revise each and every thing. Next is chemistry of carbonyl compound, very important, and reactive intermediate. Here there is some spelling mistake, stability, and its stability. So which are the reactive intermediate in organic chemistry like carbocation, carbanion, free radical, carbene, nitrene, nitronium ion. These all are the reactive intermediate, and you also refer its stability aspect. Very important topic from organic chemistry is benzene and aromaticity. So generally one questions should be there in examination. So what you have to refer? So first you have to refer, or you can easily identify the what are the aromatic compound, non-aromatic compound and anti-aromatic compound. Okay. Next is Huckel's role of the aromaticity. Various reaction of the benzene like Friedel-Crafts alkylation, acylation, nitration, sulfonations and chlorinations, which are the limitation of the Friedel-Crafts alkylation. What is the role of AlCl3 in Friedel-Crafts alkylations? So such kind of things generally asked in examination. Orientation and reactivity of the benzene. What is the mesomeric and what is inductive effect? Mesomeric effect is, it is also called resonance effect. So that you have to refer. Here very nice table is given. It is a summary. So what do you mean by aromatic compounds? So it is a cyclic, conjugated, and 4n plus 2 pi, it is nothing but the Huckel's rule. It should follow Huckel's rule, and it should be a planar as well as the flat structure. So benzene, it obey all the rule, so hence it is considered as an aromatic. So here one more example is given like cyclobutadiene. So it is a cyclic, conjugation is also there. Conjugation means double, single bond kind of patterns, but it only having a 4n pi electron. So any structure having a 4n pi electron, it is considered as an anti-aromatic, though it has a flat, but it is not obeying the Huckel's rule. Same way, which are the structures are called non-aromatic. So everything is each and every aromaticity criteria that it follow, but it is fail any one of the four criteria. These four are the criteria for aromaticity. So your structure that is fail in any of the four criteria, then it is called non-aromatic compound. In anti-aromatic compound, it has a 4 and 5 electrons. Okay. Very important is heterocyclic chemistry. If you having a thorough knowledge of heterocyclic chemistry, then and then only you can understand the concepts of medicinal chemistry. You can only remember the basic ring systems. So what you have to refer, nomenclatures and basic chemistry of 5, 6 and 7 member ring. In 5 member ring, especially pyrrole, furan, thiophene, imidazole, pyrazole, oxazole, thiazole. So you have to remember such kind of ring system in six-member ring containing nitrogen like pyridine, pyrimidine, pyrazine, piperazine. So iron ring, such kind of rings, and seven-member specifically tropoloin system is there. And next is fuse ring system, chemistry of fuse ring system like quinoline, indole, benzimidazole, that is important. Another important topic from the organic chemistry perspective is stereochemistry. So you should clear these all important concepts like what is small d and small l, what is capital D and capital L. Students are generally do the mistake in this both nomenclature system. Small d and small l is nothing but it's a dextro and levo. Capital D and capital L, it is nothing but it's a relative configuration of the drugs. RS, that means it's absolute configuration, rectors and semesters. EZ, it is a again nomenclature system for the geometrical isomer. E means antagenin, Z means Jusaman. Cis trans isomerism, what is staggered and eclipse form? It is a kind of conformational isomer. What is erythro and trio? It is a kind of diastereomer, epimer, enomer of the carbohydrate. So many times questions were asked from these epimer and enomer. What is a cyclic form of the sucrose or glucose, which is called anomer. Cyclic sugar, which is called anomer. What is racemic mixtures? What is meso compound? What do you mean by optical activity? Which are the criteria for enantiomerism? What is the minimum requirement to existence of the diastereomer? So such kind of concept you should clear from the stereochemistry. Next is very important topic for NIPER and GPED is atrophy isomerism. It is generally observed with diphenyl system and various problem that is based on E and Z nomenclature and absolute configuration. It is generally asked. Some questions related to three or four structures are given. You have to identify which one is a chiral compounds and how many different types of isomer is possible. Say for example, two chiral center are there in any structures. So number of possible isomer present is 2 raised to 2. That means 4. Another important topic is conformational isomers, where chair board form of the cyclohexane, conformational conformation in N-butane. In N-butane, which form is highly stable? So as you all know that anti-form is highly stable. In chair and boat form, so chair form is more stable compared to boat form because of all hydrogen are in staggered form. So such kind of stability orders are generally asked. Next is identification of geometrical isomers. So when I appeared in one of the UPSC examination, at that time one question was asked, four different IUPAC nomenclature of alkene were given, where I have to identify in which of the structures geometrical isomer is present. So generally what are our understanding is any compound which having a double bond, in such cases geometrical isomer is possible, but it is not always true. The condition for geometrical isomer, that means these two are the carbon. So whenever any carbon containing two similar group, it is not considered as a geometrical isomer. Okay, but say for example these carbon having a two different group, and it can be considered as a geometrical. Say for example this one. So carbon having a 2D similar group, which is a geometrical isomer. Same way, dissimilar group, it can be considered as a geometrical isomer. Here, it can be considered as a geometrical isomer, but one which is not considered as a geometrical isomer because of this carbon having a two similar group. Okay, so this is from stereochemistry perspective. Various important rules of organic chemistry. So Sadjeff rule is there for alkene, Markovnikov rule, Brad's rule, and Hofmann elimination, which is also called beta elimination. So we have to go through with these all rules and importance of various reagents. So what is importance of palladium, platinum, and nickel, which is generally used for the reduction of the carbon-carbon double bond, which are the oxidizing agents. So sulfuric acid, nitric acid, hydrogen peroxide, KMnO4, potassium dichromate. So these all are the oxidizing agents. So like toluene is given. So when it react with KMnO4, that gives a carboxylic acid. So that gives oxidation of the methyl groups. So such kind of application-based questions are generally asked. Various reducing agents like lithium aluminum hydride, sodium borohydride, sodium hydride. So what is application of such reducing agents? So lithium aluminum hydride and sodium borohydride generally used to reduce carbon oxygen double bond. And palladium, platinum and nickel are generally used to reduce carbon carbon double bond, carbon nitrogen double bond. What is use of thionyl chlorides, phosphorus pentachlorides, phosphorus trichlorides. So these all are the chlorinated reagents. It is generally used for the chlorinations. Okay? And what is use of DCC, phosphorus chlorochromate. So these all are the various important reagents from where questions are generally asked. Next is inorganic chemistry. So very few questions, hardly one or two questions are generally asked from these topic. So questions related to synonym of various inorganic compounds. So one questions I remember that precipitate chalk. It is a synonym of, so it is a synonym of the calcium carbonate. Slack lime, it is a synonym of calcium hydroxide. Quick lime, it is a synonym of calcium oxides. Blue vitriol is a synonym of copper sulfate. Green vitriol, it is a synonym of ferrous sulfate. So such kind of questions are generally asked. Classification, so like milk of magnesia, what is the use of milk of magnesia? So you all know it is comes under antacids. What is use of the ferrous sulfate? So you all know it is used as a iron supplement. Same way, what is use of sodium chloride? So it is used in dental preparations. What is use of calcium carbonate? So it is also used in dental preparations. What is use of sodium bicarbonate? So such kind of questions are generally asked from the inorganic chemistry, and very important is antidote table. Okay. So say for example, heavy metal poisoning, so magnesium sulfates are generally used, phosphorus poisoning, copper sulfates are used, lead poisoning, calcium disodium EDTA are used. It is also called as a universal antidote. So such kind of questions are generally asked from the inorganic, but hardly one or two questions are there in the GPAT examination. Next is physical chemistry. Again, hardly one or two questions are generally asked, and the questions are from various law of the thermodynamics, kinetic of the reactions, so like zero order, first order, second order kinetics. Uh, what are the equation for uh, kinetic of the reaction? What is the equation for half life for zero order kinetic, first order kinetic, as well as the second order pseudo first order kinetic? And one more important is radiopharmaceuticals. So where you have to remember the various characteristic of alpha, beta, and gamma rays, various detectors used in radiopharmaceutical, as well as application of the radioisotope. Application of the radioisotopes. So like what is application of the sodium isotopes I-131, which is used to diagnose and treat the thyroid disorder. Cobalt, it is generally used in detection of the certain types of the cancers. Barium sulfate, it is used in X-ray plates, X-ray film. So such kind of radioisotope applications are generally asked. So here I have covered what you have to refer from medicinal chemistry perspective, organic chemistry, biochemistry, analytical chemistry, physical chemistry, as well as the inorganic chemistry. I think you should refer these topics. Then, if you remember, study about only chemistry, then you can also clear your GPAT examination. How that I will mention in these slides. So if you look at the previous year cutoff marks, so in 2030 to 17, cutoff marks is only 1122 to 118 out of 500. So if you correct, or if you correctly answer only 30 question out of 125, you can qualify. In 2018, the cutoff marks is 137. This is for open categories. So only 35 questions are required. In 2019, 141 is the cutoff marks. Only 36 question if you are correctly answer, you will qualify. 2020, the range is 163, only 41 questions, and 2021 the expected cutoff marks is 180, and expected total correct answer is 40 to 45 to 50. So 50 questions are generally there which is related to fundamentals as well as the basic. So if you have uh, attended all your routine classes, then you can easily qualify the GPAT examination. Now, which are the important books apart from this book? So you have to refer IP, where IP is specifically appendix sections where it is very important for microbiology and certain topics of physical pharmaceutics. Uh, my book is there, Pearson Guide to GPAT. Now it is name is Complete Companion for GPAT and other competitive examinations, and GATE and GPAT Companion by an Inamdar Madam. So I would suggest if you refer these two books thoroughly, you can easily crack the GPAT examination. GPAT by Pius publication and GPAT by Muhammad Ali you can refer for MCQ. MCQ are very nicely described in these two books. Now, what is do and don't in GPAT examinations? So first is attempt your routine lecture in colleges. So why I am suggesting this? Because of, as I said, that in GPAT paper 45 to 60 questions are there which you have studied in your routine lectures. It is all fundamental kinds of questions. If your fundamental is clear, then you need to go for the special preparations. Second thing is study in groups and discuss the content as much as possible. So say for example in your class, say for example 10 students are interested for GPAT. So I would suggest that you will just prepare a group and divide the topic, prepare a topic and do discussion for 1 hour. I think that would remember uh, each and everything, uh, remember very fast. Okay. I would suggest always refer reference book, as I mentioned. Okay? Plan your study well. In GPAT, 3C are very important: your confidence level, your continuity, and concentration towards the study. So confidence level, how you build up your confidence level. So more and more your study, more and more you can solve your multiple choice questions, and as you increase your score, automatically that will boost up your confidence level. And for that, to improve the confidence level, continuity in study and concentration in study is very important. As I said that you have to prepare a group for the GPAT preparation. So revision and group discussions both are very important because things are volatile. You can easily forget it. So that's why revision and group discussion are very important. Search and collect. So any MCQ, you just try to solve it and you are not getting the answers. So don't go with your professors. You just first try to solve at your own. तो उससे क्या होगा कि when you search for the answer, you will get some another important things that is available in the books as well as the literature. So that would be beneficial to you. Try to mark point in the book while first reading, and it makes second reading short and simple. So जैसा मैंने आपको बताया कि when you have to keep one standard book with you, and whatever the other reference book you read, so whatever the important topic you feel, you just mark down in your standard book. So जब आप दूसरी बार पढ़ोगे, so your reading is become a very short and simple. You can easily remember the things. If time permits, then go through the other least important topics as I mentioned. That will minimize your risk factor for the qualification of the GPAT. And as I said that you have to read pharmacology, pharmacognosy as well as the medicinal chemistry classification daily. You have to read pharmacology, pharmacognosy and pharmacochemistry classification daily. There is a no another options. And what is don't, so don't panic at the time of the examinations. As I said that don't go answer directly. Cross wrong answer first, and so you can easily reach to your final answers. And whenever you try to solve the MCQ, first read all option first. Then whatever wrong answer you can feel, you just rule out these wrong answer, then automatically you will reach to right answers. Don't leave questions without reading and thinking about it. Solve the simple question first. So say for example, your strong point is pharmacology. So nowadays in GPAT paper, it is divided into the four different parts: pharmaceutics, pharmacology, pharmaceutical chemistry, and pharmacognosy. So if I bifurcate the types of questions or number of questions are asked in each modules, the pharmaceutical chemistry generally 35 to 40 questions every year asked. Pharmacology, approximately 30 to 32 questions are generally asked. Sutics, 35 to 40 questions are generally asked. And 10 to 15 questions are generally asked from the pharmacognosy, as well as some IPR, regulatory affair, as well as the some marketing kinds of questions. Never fumble and change the answer in last minute. So many times I have observed that आप लोग क्या करते हो कि उसको अपने पेपर में आप टिक कर देते हो, तो लास्ट टाइम पे आप उसको आप ऐसा सोचते हो कि लास्ट 13 मिनट में पूरा आंसर में टिक कर देगा. सो आई वुड सजेस्ट दैट नेवर चेंज द आंसर इन लास्ट मिनट. आपको पता है उसका आंसर यही है, तो जस्ट उसको क्लिक करके उसमें क्या होता है कि रिव्यू सेक्शन भी आता है. When your paper is given, so red, yellow, and green, three lights are there. Three sections are there. So once unattempted question, it's shown as a red light. Attended option, but still review is required. It shows the yellow color, and green, that means you are confident about the answer. So it shows as a green colors. Okay. So when you know that answer is 50-50, you just uh, put the marks in review sections. So it will show you okay, yellow color is there. So at last 30 minutes, you just try to solve out these yellow color questions. Okay. So this is my advice, and don't attempt the questions if you are having a no idea about it, or it will lead to necessary negative marking. This is known about the GPAT examinations. So why GPAT or GPAT qualified student and GPAT disqualified student? Of course, there is a matter. No worries, all are getting admission because numbers of seats compared to BPharm in masters are more. So everybody get the admission in MPharm. But once you will clear your masters, then there is a matter. Okay. So in PhD, from where you have done your master, it is matter. In job, from where you have done your master, it is matter. So once you clear your GPAT examinations, so these all are the reputed institutions. We will get admission in NIPER. For NIPER, you have to clear GPAT examination. NIPER also having its own examinations. UDCT or ICT, again very important department. Institute of Chemical Technology situated in Mumbai. Manipal University, BITS Pinali, VIIT, Vellore, NIMS, Bharati Vidyapit Pune, PGCT, it is for PGCET examination, it is for Gujarat. Those who are not clear GPAT examination, they all have to appear in PGCET examination, and it is compulsory to take admission in colleges that is available in Gujarat. BHU Banaras Hindu University, nowadays it is called IIT BHU and Jamia. These all are the reputed institutions. So student, these all are my books. This is the first, second, third, fourth, and this is the fifth edition that I have published in lockdown. So it is available on Amazon. Apart from that, this is my Facebook account. You can follow me. This is my YouTube channel where I am publishing every month 5 to 6 video related to GPAT as well as the pharmaceutical chemistry subject. You can subscribe it. This is my Instagram account where I daily publish various important notes as well as the multiple choice questions. Every day, 3 to 5 questions should be there on my Instagram account. You can follow this. This is my Telegram where I publish the important materials. I am also conducting free GPAT as well as the NIPER examination nationwide. Till date, I have conducted 5 online uh, mock GPAT examinations. So where I have generally posted the link on Telegrams. This is my blog. You can also uh, like as well as subscribe it. So You can join my social media for GPAT Nypergy guidance as well as the pre-mock test. These all are links. Best of luck. If you're having any questions, you can ask me in chat options. Thank you.